In this video, I will talk about cross-browser testing using UFT or QTP. So that is what I will be talking about in this video, cross-browser testing using UFT. UFT means Unified Functional Testing, or QTP means Quick Test Professional. And two things I will cover: the definition of cross-browser testing. I will give one hands-on example of cross-browser testing using UFT. So I will show one UFT script that is doing the cross-browser testing. And my name is MD Shahajada Imran. That is my name. So that's all about this video. So what is cross-browser testing? So we all know what is testing. Testing is testing the software application, whether it is web-based or Windows-based. We test the software application based on the requirements, whether it is functional requirement or technical requirement or any other requirement. In the requirement document, it is written how the software will be developed. So once the software is developed, we check how it is written in the requirement document and how it is actually developed. If both matches, then the testing pass. If it doesn't match, then testing fails. So we know what is testing. And now, if we test the application when in multiple browsers, that would be cross-browser testing. So that we do only web-based applications. So first, the developers develop web-based application based on the functional requirement document or technical requirement document, and then we test if the web-based application is developed according to the requirement document or not. So that is, we test, and when we test across multiple browsers, that would be cross-browser testing. So example of browsers would be Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Firefox, Chromium, Safari, and Opera, etc. There are many different types of browsers, and web-based application should have same across all the browsers. If it doesn't, then the cross-browser testing fails. So that's the definition. So I gave the definition of what is testing and what is the cross-browser testing. In short, testing the application, web-based application, across all the browsers would be cross-browser testing. So the application should behave exactly same in Google Chrome browser, in Internet Explorer browser, in Microsoft Edge browser, in Firefox browser, in Opera browser, all the browsers that are available. We may also specifically mention in the requirement document that the when developer develop an application, web-based application, it must work on this particular set of browsers. That is also there. So I have given the definition what is cross-browser testing. So I will be changing the color to green so that I can claim that I have explained what is cross-browser testing. Now I will give one hands-on example of cross-browser testing. So I have one UFT script that starts here, ends here, and it has only one action. I will be clicking on. Now what this script will do, I click on the action first. I clicked on the action, so script open. This is the script. I show the entire script slowly. And this is the entire script. Now what this script does, first I show once manually. Script will open a browser. So I clicked on Google Chrome browser. It will launch the Google Chrome browser, and then the script will navigate to the Bing homepage. Once it is launched, it will go navigate to the Bing homepage. And it will enter my name. So here there are three options, 1, 2, 3. The script will click on the third option. Third object. There are three objects, 1, 2, 3 objects. The script will click on the third. It click, and the search result appear. The script will check if this object appears or not. If this object appears, then testing pass. If this object doesn't appear, then the testing fails. So, and the requirement is users are able to search with a certain search criteria in the Bing homepage. So that is the requirement. Requirement is users are able to search in the Bing homepage, and the test data is this one. So that is what the script will do. The script will so I have showed manually what the script will do. Now I also explain the script. This is just comments, and this line is for closing the open Google Chrome browser and closing the open Internet Explorer browser, if any open during runtime. And then it will this is parameterized. This test is parameterized. So there are two types of parameterization. We can have action parameterization and test parameterization. Not two, there are many different types of parameterization. Two major important parameterizations are test and action. So when we have data here, that would be test parameterization. When we have data here, that would be action parameterization. In action parameterization, this particular action will be iterated multiple times. For each row, for first iteration, it will take data from the first row. On the second iteration, it will take data from the second row. On the third iteration of this particular action, it will take the data from third row. So that is action parameterization. We have read probably in UFT document that we have test action component parameter. So the test is when the entire test, we could have multiple actions in a test. So entire test iterates, that is test parameterization. When a particular action iterates itself, that is action parameterization. And in this particular scenario, it is action parameterization. So now it will take data. This one means it will take data. In the first iteration, it will take data Google Chrome. In the second iteration, it will take data Internet Explorer. Third iteration, it will take Chromium. This is Chromium, and this is the data. This is URL. It taking from this row. In the first iteration, it takes data from here. In the second iteration, it takes data from here. And the third iteration, it takes data from here. And this is the first thing. I launch the Google Chrome browser again. I'm manually typing. Bing homepage open. If I go to the script, this two line I'm talking about. So this is an example of dynamic descriptive programming approach, and what it does, it call a function, or it call a sub procedure. So this is the sub procedure that I have created. This is the sub procedure that is called. This is the sub procedure enter data, and based on the dynamic descriptive programming, what it does, it enters the data on the search field. It enters the data in the search field here. So it will be entering my name. It will be entering my name here. Once this line executes, and this one developed using dynamic descriptive programming approach, and then it will click this button. There are 3 objects, 1, 2, 3 in the application for the Google Chrome browser, and the third object, this one, script will click here, and that is using object repository approach. That means we have this object in the object repository. If I go to the local object repository, I will see there is one object. This is one object in the local object repository. If I click on highlight, so this is the object highlighted over there. So there in the object repository there is only one object, and I dragged and dropped here from the local object repository, and there is nothing in the shared object repository in this object. There is nothing in the shared object repository. So in this script there is only one object in the local object repository, and this is object repository approach. What it will do, it will click here. I manually clicked, and then this page appears. Once this page appears, this chunk or block of code is developed using a static descriptive programming approach. So there are 3 approaches that I introduced: dynamic descriptive programming, object repository, and a static descriptive programming approach. In this chunk of code, what it will do, it will first check if this object appears in this page or not. If it appears, then if it exists, then it will highlight, and it will get the property value of outer text property value. If an object is 5, so it has, this is the property list and this is the value list. If I go down, I will see there is a property called outer text. This property's value is this one for now. So this value will be collected during runtime and stored in this variable. So this variable will have that data. It will have the data 4170 results. The entered data will be stored in this variable. Then in this is reporter utility object. I will be using this object. I will be using this method, and then these are the input arguments of the reporter event object. So send the pass status to the result, and then also in the data table, in the action data table, there is also a column called result. It will write here also pass or fail. It will write the pass result on here. So if this object exists during runtime, what if this object doesn't? I write something, click on the search button, and the page load up, but this object doesn't appear. Then what it will do? Then it will say test fail. It will send the fail status to the result, HP run result viewer, and this is input argument that I have written, and it will also write fail here on this data table, and that we can see in the run result. So that's about the script. I have explained very high level what this script does. Script will launch, navigate, enter some data, and do this verification whether this object exists or not. If it exists, it will highlight, collect data, and also give the status pass or fail. And this is one test, but we have to run this test multiple times for different browsers. Objective is cross-browser testing, so we will be running the entire test or entire action multiple times. Every time the script iterates or the action iterates. For this particular scenario, since I used the local data table, it will be action iteration. So for each iteration, first iteration it will test in the Google Chrome browser. Second iteration it will test in the Internet Explorer browser. Third iteration it will test in the Chromium browser. So that's the script. Now I will run it to see if it works or not. I will run it. A script is running. So first time it will launch Google Chrome browser and test the functionality, the ability of the search, or whatever the test case is. It will test the first test case in Google Chrome browser. It is testing the test case. There is only one test case or one script that will be executed 3 times. First time it is executing with Google Chrome browser. It tested, testing ends, and second time it is running. Now this time it launched Internet Explorer browser. So it is testing the same test case in Internet Explorer browser. And it launched Internet Explorer browser, navigated to the Bing homepage, entered my name in the search box, and there were 3 objects, but this time only one object in the Internet Explorer. Therefore, this testing will fail for the Internet Explorer. It passes in Google Chrome browser, that I know, and it is failing in the Internet Explorer browser because there were 3 buttons. So once a test execution fails, automation engineer has to analyze why the execution fails. It could be a scripting issue, it could be environmental configuration issue, or it could be a defect. So automation engineer has to analyze, or the automation tester has to analyze. Anyway, now the third execution is running. Third iteration of the action 1 is running. It's launched the Chromium browser. This time it is Chromium browser, not Google Chrome. Chromium browser. It launched the Chromium browser, navigated to the Bing homepage. Now it's supposed to enter my name in the search edit box. It's supposed to enter my name. If it doesn't, then this will also fail. This execution will also fail. Yes, it also failed. So I ran 3 times. I ran the script 1 time for 3 iterations, and the result is loading. Now if I expand the result, I will see it failed 2 times and it passed 1 time. If I scroll down this, so there are three iterations. First iteration, it tested on Google Chrome browser and it passes, and the second iteration it tested in Internet Explorer, it failed, and the third also it failed. Second time it failed because I'm doing manually now. Second time it failed because it didn't find that object. There were 3 objects, but in the Internet Explorer, the third object, that feature is not here, so it failed for that one. And the third one, it failed, but I don't know why it failed. Yesterday when I ran, it passes, but this time it failed. I don't know what happened. But objective is to show what is cross-browser testing. So this test I iterated 3 times. First time with Google Chrome browser, second time with Internet Explorer browser, and third time with Chromium browser. If I go to the data also, I can see first iteration. This first iteration, it tested in Google Chrome browser and it passes. Second time it tested in Internet Explorer browser, it failed, and third time it tested in Chromium browser, it failed. So now I have given one hands-on example of cross-browser testing. This is the result. Close this one. What if I want to test in Firefox browser? What if I want to test Firefox browser? Then I have to add one more line here. Close process by name. Firefox browser. Firefox.exe. Here also I have to write Firefox.exe. Firefox.exe, and this data would be the same. These 2 data would be the same. I just down here. I write Firefox browser. Firefox browser. What if I want to test in Microsoft Edge? Then it will be Microsoft Edge.exe, and these 2 data would be the same. Here I have to write Microsoft Edge. Microsoft Edge. Now, if this is the scenario, a script will run 5 times, not a script. Let me tell you. A script will run 1 time. A script starts here, ends here. It has 1 action. This action will run 5 times. First time it will run with Google Chrome browser. Second time it will run with Internet Explorer browser. Third time it will run with Chromium browser. Fourth time it will run with Firefox browser. Fifth time it will run with Microsoft Edge browser. Here also I have to write this. Close process by name and Microsoft Edge.exe. So this is what cross-browser testing. But for this one, Firefox, I have to check the configuration is correct or not. For that, I have to install Firefox browser in the computer. First thing is I have to install, right? Install browser. So I check if I have Firefox browser in my computer or not. I don't have. So I have to install it. I have to go to Google Chrome. I have to write download Firefox browser and download it. This is first thing. I have to check if the browser is installed or not. Second thing, enable add-in, not add-in, it's called extension. Extension. Some browser need extension, some browser doesn't. For example, Google Chrome browser, Chromium browser, I need extension. If I go to the extension, I see I have extension and that is enabled. For Firefox browser also, I need extension. I'm launching Firefox browser now. This is Chromium browser. Now I will be launching Firefox browser. Firefox browser launched. Now if I go extension, I see this one. For Internet Explorer, we do not need extension. So what for Firefox? For Firefox, I have checked the browser has to be installed if extension is needed or not, if it's needed, whether it is enabled or not, and the version availability, availability. So version availability. For example, let's say I want to check what are the versions available for this particular UFT. So first I have to check what is the version of UFT. If I go about Unified Functional Testing, it will say the version is 12.53. So I have to check the product availability matrix document, PAM. I'm launching Google Chrome browser to show where we can check the product availability matrix document, PAM, or support. It's called support matrix document. It used to call product availability matrix document, PAM, but now it is called support document. So I clicked on the Google Chrome browser. It's launching the Google Chrome browser. Now I will be going to a particular this is the URL admhelp.microfocus.com. This is where we have to go. Now, since the version is 12.53 owned by HP, the version I'm using is 12.53. So I have to check what are the Firefox browser's versions. What are the versions supported by this version of UFT, or what are the versions of Microsoft Edge supported by this? That I cannot test. If I go here and I check for the available versions, I don't see 12.53. So what if I had version 2021 instead of 12.53? What if I had version 2021? Then I could go here, version, and if get started, there are many lists. The first one, get started. If I go down and it says support matrix, I click on the support matrix and it says support matrix 2021 version. Click on here, the new page opens up. And if I scroll down, I can see all the things. My objective is to check the versions of Firefox and Microsoft Edge. Scrolling down to the version section. So this is version. So this is for Microsoft Edge. So these are the versions listed here. So in my computer, if I want to run Microsoft Edge, I have to have Microsoft Edge installed in my computer. It has to be installed, first thing. Second thing, I have to check if it requires extension enable or not. If then I have to enable it, and the third, the version I'll be installing in my computer should be within the supported list. Should be within this list. For Edge, these are the supported list, and for Chrome, these are the supported list for the version 2021. So that's what cross-browser testing. That's how we can do cross-browser testing in UFT using UFT. So I have there are many ways we can do cross-browser testing using UFT. I have given one hands-on example with one script. So we create one script once and parameterize, and for each iteration of the parameterization, it will take one browser and test. And I show the last execution result again. It is loading. Data. I have executed with 3 rows of 3 rows, and it ran 3 times. One script, 3 iteration. One script, 3 iteration. It's called iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. And this is iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. A script starts from here, ends here. That's not one script, one action. So this one action, this action iterates 3 times. This is action summary 1. This action iterates 3 times. We could have multiple actions. So this action iterates 3 times. First time with in Google Chrome browser, second time with Internet Explorer browser, third time with Chromium browser. And Chromium's extension and Google Chrome extensions are same, so Chromium has to be installed in the local computer and give the exact path. And that's about the cross-browser testing. Some people also claim that cross-browser testing is testing the same browser with different versions of the operating system. For example, Chrome and Windows 7, Chrome and Windows 10, Chrome and Microsoft Excel, not Excel, XP. So I disagree, because that would be cross-platform testing, not cross-browser testing. Cross-browser testing is testing across different browsers. That would be cross-browser testing. But and I also give one hands-on example. So that's all about this video. This video is for defining what is cross-browser testing and give one hands-on example with the sample code. This is the sample code, and I gave hands-on example of the browser testing. And thank you guys for watching. If you think this is helpful, you can share with your friends so that they can also get the knowledge. Thank you. Bye.